Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Theater of Football. I am Mike Hodem, and I'm joined once again by Patrick Heinrich. Patrick, did you watch our Europa League match yesterday?
Hey everybody, I certainly did, and what an interesting match it was, to say the least.
Yeah, at halftime, I didn't think we'd really have anything to talk about at all.
That's right.
But for those of you who missed it or just didn't, we're kind of indifferent towards it because we're 5-0 up from the first leg. United won 2-1 over LASK. LASK scored an opener, beautiful opener by them. Credit to them for that goal. But immediate response through Jesse Lingard and a winner laid on by Tony Marshall. He scores again. So
He does.
Patrick, I want to start with the starting 11. We talked about in our Europa League preview video about who we thought the starting 11 would be. And we were pretty much right. There was one surprise, if you want to call it that, and Maguire starting. How did you feel about Maguire getting the nod, playing 90 minutes?
I don't know. It to me it seemed like a maybe Ole was thinking just what in the world could possibly go wrong, and maybe we'll just keep Maguire in the back just in case. I don't think it was necessary. I mean, it's not like we're going to give up 6 goals in one game, so I don't think it was necessary. But to me, it was kind of like, let's just play it safe and just stick him on the squad. But yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. Sometimes by playing it safe, you end up not playing it safe and risk injuries. But
Yes.
we'll kind of talk a little bit more on that later. I think Ole said after the match that Lindelof picked up a knock, so he wasn't available.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he just didn't trust Menji to go from the off. So it was kind of disappointing that Maguire had to play 90 minutes. But
Yeah. I mean, you had in starting in the back, so it isn't like inconceivable that you could start someone like Menji in the back. So you have some experience with Bai. So, and in the chance in the game that we had, why not experiment a little bit? It's not like we don't need to start thinking about our back line anyway. And other options we have.
And I mentioned, I think you as well in the previous video about wanting to see Ethan Laird, and I was very disappointed he wasn't even in the 23-man squad.
Nope.
Apparently he was fit, available to play, and he was in the stands sitting close by David De Gea, who also was not in the 23-man squad. I mean, yeah, that was disappointing for me to not see Ethan play because the times I've watched him play for the reserves, he looks like a heck of a player. In fact, I think I've said before that when I saw him on the same pitch with Brandon Williams, I thought he was the better fullback. So
yeah,
it would have been nice. This would have been a perfect opportunity to see him play, and I was glad that Menji did eventually get on and make his debut. So good for him, good for the young lad. Let's move on to the substitutions. And around a little after the 60th minute mark, shortly after Lingard equalized, and the first hour of the match, I thought Jesse Lingard was by far our best player. Would you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. I would completely agree with that assessment, with the caveat that being by far the best player in that match is not saying a whole lot. But I thought that he was doing really well. And, he got his goal, and answered and responded to the goal that LASK scored. And I thought he was doing really well in the beginning.
Yeah, the bar was set so low that if you're watching this video, it's down in our comments section where you can let us know what you thought of Jesse's performance yesterday. But I thought it was his best performance at least 18, 24 months. And I'm not saying that we don't sell him now. I mean, I still think if you get 15, 20 million for him, you take it and let him negotiate with a new club. But I know he has been going through a lot in his personal life, and it was good to see him out there. And I think a lot of his poor play, to me, looking at him, is when he crosses those lines, he's not focused. He's not 100% focused. His mind seems elsewhere. And yesterday, he looked like he was fully engaged with what was going on. He was energetic, which he was 2 years ago, and he hasn't been for 18 months, 24 months. He looked like he had ideas in his head, good ideas. And yeah, he played a handful of good balls. I think that first half was bad, but any decent attacking move we had he was at the heart of it. Now the ball would end up with James or McTominay or Fred or, Mata, who slowly got better as the game went on, but and the move would not pan out. But I thought he was excellent, and for him to get the hook on the 60th, a little after the 60th minute, I think that was something Ole had planned. I think he had always. Now the board said Pogba for Lingard, but it was really Pereira for Lingard.
Yeah.
And I think he always planned to have Lingard play an hour and then have Pereira play the last half an hour.
Yeah.
Now we'll talk about Pogba in a minute, but do you feel like, given how well Lingard was playing and how short of confidence he had been, and the fact that we don't have good depth, and again, I'm not saying that, sign him to a new contract, but wouldn't you leave him out there at that point?
Yeah, I would. But it was really interesting because in the pregame press conference, which we won't even go into why Jesse was part of that, if he wasn't even, he could have been the captain of the squad, but, we kept Maguire in. Okay, that's fine. But one of the things that he said was he was talking about his play time, and he's like, well, even if I'm on the pitch for 10, 15, 20 minutes, he sounded like he wasn't, going to play a full game anyway. So I sometimes I worry about Lingard's endurance, and I could see ahead of time, Ole making the decision to pull him out as a premeditated move. But I think it would have been a great opportunity to keep him out there, at least see, what else he could contribute.
Yeah, when they showed him on the bench after the sub, he looked upset, but he also looked like he was breathing heavy.
Yeah.
If you run as much as footballers do, I couldn't do it. So fair play to them. But watching him on the match before that substitution, he didn't look tired to me at all. He looked like he was even kicking on from the already good play that he was giving us for the first hour. So if he still wanted to bring on Pereira for Lingard because Ole sees them as being similar players, then maybe wait another 10 minutes. But I was disappointed that Lingard got the hook, and I never thought I would say that, but for what he has gone through personally, and for what the British media writes about him, just to me is utter crap. And he's not completely innocent in this. There's been things he's done that typically bring that type of attention on you, but there's reports of him asking Smalling and Young how they like Italy. Well, there's probably gaming with them, and old man Ashley Young gets up and goes use the restroom, and he's there with Chris, and he's like, "Hey Chris, so how's Italy?" That's right. I think you or I playing games with a coworker would make small talk like that. So I mean, it's just that they write these articles to make them seem like bad guys to the fans, and that just adds more fuel to the fire. And I don't think, at the end of the day, Lingard was a starting performer in some of the worst Manchester United sides of the last 30 years. I'm not forgetting that. But at the same time, I mean, he scored a fabulous winner at Wembley to get us the FA Cup in 2016. And he's done his part for the club, or tried to do his part for the club. I don't feel like, I mean, we've kind of dissed him on this channel too, but I mean, yes, his football's been poor the past 2 years, but the one time he's playing well, it's just very disappointing to see him get the hook. And then I read some other news today that said that United will listen to offers for Jesse Lingard. Well, yeah, I mean, we will. but you're going to say that on the back of one good game against LASK.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing to keep in perspective. Yes, he had one good game finally, but it was against LASK. So.
Yeah.
But let me digress and move on to the other sub that was made around the 62nd minute, I believe. And that was Pogba coming on for Fred. This seemed also premeditated because I feel like Ole, if you want to call him a successor to Matic alongside Pogba, you can, for lack of a better term. But it felt like Pogba came on so that Ole could see the last half hour of McTominay playing alongside him. Is that kind of how you saw it, Patrick?
Yeah, I don't see any other reason for it. Although sometimes I also feel like, just the bench of players just keeps poking Ole. They're like, put me in, put me in, put me in. And then he's like, fine, whatever. It's just go ahead and go in. And it's funny because I've heard it a couple times before where Ole is like, well, I'm going to do this, but all the players keep asking me to play. They always want to play. They want to keep playing. So sometimes I feel like they just like tug on his shirt a little bit on the bench and say, put me in. And sometimes it's just like, okay, whatever. So it seems to me it's either a very strategic decision to do what you said and watch him in his relationship with McTominay, or it's just whatever, go ahead and go in. This is the game to do it, I guess, unless you're risking injury, like is always on the edge there.
Yeah, I was not thrilled to see Pogba. And you texted me, I think after the substitution with Chong, that exact thing. That's like, the players are just saying, hey, can I come in? Can I go in? He's like, okay.
Yeah.
But that could have been the case with Pogba. I would like to think not.
Yeah.
I think Bruno was clamoring to get on, and he stood up to him and said, no, we need you in this tournament going forward on Monday.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, he did cave into Martial. He said after the game that Tony told him that, I'll put me on, coach. I'll get you up. I'll get you. Put me on, Gaffer. I'll get you a goal.
Yeah.
I'll score a goal too, and he did. And I guess when he scored, he pointed over to the bench. I didn't know who he was pointing at, but I guess that was to Ole, thanking him or telling Ole, I told you that I'd score. So
yeah.
But like I didn't like us risking Maguire. I don't think Maguire has set the world on fire this season after his 80 million pound move, but given our injuries at center back at the moment and Phil Jones lurking in the shadows if he ever gets fit, I don't want him out there being risked. I didn't want Pogba to be risked. I didn't want Martial to be risked, but it is what it is. Having said that, I kind of alluded to it before, McTominay had a very poor match, I thought.
Very.
And as a manager, like Paul Pogba is not the type of player who's gonna go in there and suddenly McTominay is gonna do a 180 and play fantastically because Pogba's there. That's not how it works. But at least with Paul, and I'm not knocking Paul, but that's just not. He's not going to go in there and his midfield partner, who's more defensive minded, is going to suddenly play much better. That's just not the case. So I think sometimes you make plans and you just got to scrap them and say, okay, James Garner was on the bench. Say, hey, Jimmy, you go in for Fred. Just go in for Scott. If you're going to take one of them out, just put in Garner, let him get some playing time, get another kid some playing time. And just tell Pogba, I mentioned to you that I wanted you to play, but I just don't think it's worth the risk. The risk reward factor just isn't in our favor. So Pogba did okay when he came on, but I thought McTominay the whole 90 minutes was really poor, and that was disappointing because I was hoping he would start to take. I was hoping both he and Fred would improve and kick on, but I thought they both were poor. Like, I'm not picking on McTominay. I thought Fred was poor too. I thought most of the squad was poor, really. But I want to move on to one final substitution to discuss, And this one had me flummoxed for a while. And that was when Ole brought Williams off for Chong with around, 15, 20 minutes to go. And I don't know about you, Patrick, but I was looking around. Like I thought he was going to switch to a back three with Fosu-Mensah back there, and maybe James as the right wing back and Chongy as the left wing back to just experiment something with his tactics and the formation and everything. But no, he stayed with the back four, and Chongy was a straight swap with Williams at left back. What were your thoughts on that, and how do you think Tahith did?
Well, I thought he did well in that position. I agree. I also thought it was a little bit odd seeing him in that position. And I thought a little bit about, why would he do that? But I think he played really well in that position, at least for the game that we played. I wouldn't, hedge my bets on seeing him again in that position unless we're in a similar position where we have a 5-0 aggregate. But I thought he did good. I thought he did well.
Yeah, this was another one that felt premeditated from Ole. And I wonder if it doesn't go back to a few weeks ago, that Southampton match where Williams and Shaw got injured.
Mm-hmm.
We finished that match with 10 men. We went to that Palace match not knowing who would play at left back, and it wound up being Timmy.
Yeah.
So I wonder now, and I don't mean to diss Ole, but I don't think he alone or he period is clever enough to see, Chong's at, deep and buried in the squad, buried in the depth chart, what have you, and say, hey, let's see if he can play left back. And also, it's worth noting. Now, I don't watch every reserve match, but I do watch a fair bit of our reserves to see who's coming through. And I have not seen Chong play as a fullback, or anything close to it. So that really threw me for a loop. And you leave Ethan Laird out, who is a fullback. You leave him out of the 23-man squad, and you put in Chong for Williams. I mean, that just had to be premeditated. And I don't know if maybe after the Southampton match, Chong went up to Ole, or was somebody in the coaching staff said, hey, why don't you try me at left back?
Mm-hmm.
I can play there. I can make tackles. I know I can figure out how to do it. Or if maybe one of the other coaches just saw him play and has seen him tackle quite a bit and thinks he does a good job and thinks he's got the tactical know-how to be able to handle playing as a fullback. I don't know. But I wonder if whatever triggered that was the Southampton match.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's just weird. I don't think Ole was asked about that. I didn't watch his post-match press conference, but I read the transcript and I didn't find anything about Chong. And if I was a journalist, that would have been one of my first questions. But they seemed wanting to keep asking him about Sancho and transfer rumors, and he keeps shutting them down. And that's what all managers do at this point, pretty much.
Yeah, right.
And it's like you have so many questions, so much time in a press conference, and you're going to waste a question's time on this that we know how he's going to answer.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Well, a lot of times I think the press is under this pressure where, like, if they don't ask that question in every occasion, then they, get fire from their bosses saying, well, you didn't ask him the question. You didn't give the option to say something or say no. But a lot of times I think the press just asks the question just to say that they did. But do you need like 8 people asking the same question rephrased in different ways just for him to say no a lot? I don't think so. You're there. You should be able to like change your question and strategy on the press side, based on what other people are saying. But it's once he says no once and you see he's not open to it, like, let's move on to something more, useful to talk about, like, that substitution.
Yeah, and you bring up an excellent point, because there is pressure from their bosses and the publications they work for, I'm sure, to try and be the company to break the story,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you have a pre-match press conference the day before, and then you have a post-match press conference immediately after the match. And there was many talking points from that match. I think he was asked about Jesse,
Yeah.
and why took him off, and I believe he talked about Martial, of course. I think he may have talked about Paul as well. No, I think he talked about McGuire playing. But I would have liked to have had him be asked about Chong, because he might not have given a straight answer.
Yeah.
Might have side talked that question too, but at least ask the question. I mean, because I think a lot of fans, you, I, and probably millions of United supporters out there were kind of scratching our heads at that. And then, he played really well.
Yeah.
His attacking play was really good, but he made 2 tackles and won them both. He blocked a cross. Now, in the last minute, he almost threw all that good work away when LASK came forward on a counterattack. And he maybe got caught a little bit too narrow, a little too close to McGuire, and gave too much space out there on the wing. But I felt like he could have still closed it down. He kind of half-heartedly went out there and stopped and let them cross the ball. And thankfully, the striker hit it right into Romero's chest.
Yeah, right.
To preserve the win on the night. I mean, we weren't going to lose. We weren't going to not go through. But it's I just. Roy Keane's, if Roy Keane was there, he would have been swinging punches at him in the dressing room, asking why he couldn't go those 2 yards. You can't run 2 yards. I'd be swinging punches at him. So I was kind of upset that he did that, because I thought he had a great 20 minutes. Yeah. Great 20-minute cameo, and then he didn't run those 2 yards, and you can't run 2 yards, and but he might not have blocked the cross anyway, but at least he could have made a little bit better effort at that point. But okay. I do want to get us out on this. You and I talked about how we need to give that club from Istanbul, I'm not even going to attempt to say the name again, some credit, and then they got hammered right before our match 3-0. To Copenhagen, who we will play on Monday.
Yep.
Bad predictions on our part, huh?
Yeah. Hey, it came from a logical perspective, so if that's everything we can say, then that's fine by me. But got it totally wrong.
I was thinking about dangerous teams left in the competition, and I was looking for teams that were already qualified in the Champions League, which meant, in my mind, that they had a good season, that they might be in good form. But maybe the dangerous teams are the ones who haven't qualified for the Champions League yet, like Copenhagen. And we did mention Wolves. Last video. But those types of clubs that really want the Champions League and are desperate, the desperate teams might be the most dangerous. Now, Sevilla, they finished 4th in Spain. They'll be in the Champions League. I didn't watch their game today, but supposedly they looked really good against Roma. They might be dangerous, and I'm really looking forward to their match with Wolves. I think it's on Tuesday. I believe we play Monday. I believe that match is Tuesday. I could be wrong.
We play Tuesday.
Okay. I think that would be the best quarterfinal matchup. So I think Wolves are tough. They're not going to get hammered. They don't get hammered, I should say. And they'll give Sevilla a good fight. Sevilla play good football. So that should be a really good match. And whoever comes out of that, if we're able to get through against Copenhagen, that should be another really good match. In that semifinal. So some good games coming up in the Europa League, and the Champions League gets kicked off tomorrow. So we have that to look forward to as well.
Yeah, the Inter Leverkusen game should be really good too on Monday.
That is a good point. And Bayer is another team that I believe they did not qualify for I think they got beat out in the Champions League by Borussia Mönchengladbach. So they're another team that's going to be playing desperate. And they could be, that'll be another, because I think, you have those two. If you look at Inter and Bayer Leverkusen and Sevilla and Wolves, you have one team that's already qualified for the Champions League and another team that's gotten a good squad, quality players, decent team,
Yeah.
but they're desperate to qualify for the Champions League. So both, yeah, you're right. Both those games could be really good.
Yep.
So actually, I wanted one more thing. I'll keep this going just a little bit longer. Patrick, I wanted to ask you, what do you want to see? Who do you want to see in our starting 11 on Monday?
Well, I think take less chances, obviously, than we had before. I think I'd like to still see Romero in goal. I thought he did well. And I think I'd like to see Fernandez back up in the front. And I think, we need that just to ensure, that we win this game. It's an important match. So, and I'd like to see Martial start again. I know Igalo probably will, but I think we need to come off on a really strong side with some, great attacking football in the beginning, just to make sure that we secure a victory.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I would like to see Romero stay in goal. I don't want him dropping him like he did in the FA Cup. Let Romero finish out this cup competition, however it finishes. But yeah, actually, the other 10 I would like to see be the same 10 that played against Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
So they would come back 15 days after the Leicester match. Of course, Maguire and Pogba and Martial and Williams played some minutes. The other day. But yeah, I would like to see that 10 again. And you're right. We need to, that first half yesterday was just too slow. We can't, Mata was better in the second half. Lingard was, I thought, our only bright spot in that first half. And we came out of the locker room even before the last goal, and we played at a faster tempo. Which was good, but we need to get back to getting our studs back in there.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yep. So the curtain is finally closing on the theater of football. For Patrick, I'm Mike. Please let us know what you think in our comments section, and hit us up on Twitter at Theater of Football. And for Patrick, I'm Mike. Have a wonderful day wherever you're at.
Cheers, everyone.
Oh, hello. Thank you for watching the Theater of Football. If you think Mike got it wrong yet again, please leave your thoughts in the comment section below.